Have you ever felt the weight of your own thoughts, the quiet voice inside that wonders if you're saying the wrong thing, or worse, if you're giving away your power without even realizing it? There's a subtle strength in silence, in measured words, in understanding that what you say shapes not just how the world sees you, but how you see yourself. Every word carries weight. Every phrase leaves an imprint. And yet, most of us speak without thinking, without strategy, without understanding the invisible rules that intelligent minds follow naturally. You might think intelligence is only about knowledge, about facts, degrees, or sharp arguments. But true intelligence, the kind that commands respect and creates influence, begins long before a conversation ever starts. It starts in your mind, in your awareness, and the quiet discipline of knowing what to say, and crucially, what not to say. Imagine the impact if every word you spoke built you up, if every conversation left you stronger, if every interaction positioned you as someone who commands respect without demanding it. Think about how life would shift if you stopped giving power away to the wrong words, the wrong reactions, the impulsive moments that later leave you feeling regret or doubt. This isn't about being robotic or emotionless. It's about harnessing your intelligence in a way that transforms your life, relationships, and opportunities. The smartest men aren't the loudest, the flashiest, or the ones who rush to fill silence. They are deliberate, measured, and aware. They know that every phrase carries consequences, and they choose theirs with precision. But here's the truth most people never realize. What you don't say matters just as much, if not more, than what you do say. Every careless "I can't," every self-doubting confession, every thoughtless criticism chips away at your presence, your credibility, and your power. The intelligent man understands that words are bridges or walls. They either open doors or slam them shut. And the moment you understand the silent power of restraint, the invisible influence of thoughtful speech, you step into a level of control that most people spend a lifetime chasing and never find. By the end of this journey, you will see the world differently. You will notice the small, almost invisible habits that separate those who are truly influential from those who merely make noise. You will understand why certain phrases diminish you, why some words are traps, and how avoiding them can elevate your confidence, sharpen your focus, and magnify your influence. This knowledge isn't just academic, it's actionable. Every time you hold back the wrong word, you grow stronger. Every time you speak with purpose, you expand your reach. And once you internalize these 7 things an intelligent man never says, you'll begin to feel a shift inside, a quiet yet powerful certainty that your words are finally aligned with the man you aspire to become. So stay with this, because what follows isn't just advice. It's a blueprint for reclaiming your power, for transforming ordinary conversations into strategic tools, for stepping into a presence that people notice, respect, and trust. Your voice is more than sound. It's influence, it's legacy, and it's a reflection of the life you're building. Understanding what never to say is the first step towards speaking in a way that changes everything. And by the time you finish this, you won't just hear the message. You'll feel it, carry it, and live it. There is a quiet confidence in restraint, a magnetic power in choosing silence over empty words. Every time you resist the urge to speak carelessly, you are not just controlling a conversation, you are shaping yourself. The intelligent man understands that the world does not reward every opinion. It rewards clarity, precision, and the courage to let your actions speak louder than your statements. When you learn to measure your words, you create a presence that commands attention without force. People instinctively notice when someone carries that weight, when someone speaks with intention rather than impulse. That presence is not taught in schools. It is forged in moments of self-discipline, in the conscious decision to rise above thoughtless chatter. Every phrase you avoid saying that diminishes your worth is a step toward reclaiming your inner authority. Words like "I don't know if I can" or "maybe I'm wrong" quietly erode the perception of strength and clarity. They invite doubt, not only from others, but within yourself. The intelligent man recognizes that vulnerability has its place, but unnecessary self-doubt has no power except to weaken. Confidence is built not by the absence of fear, but by the deliberate choice to act and speak with courage despite it. Choosing your words carefully, is not manipulation. It is mastery. It is the act of aligning your external presence with the internal reality of the man you are becoming. Consider the ripple effect of this awareness. When you refuse to say things that betray weakness or indecision, you elevate every interaction. Conversations become opportunities to reinforce respect, trust, and admiration. People naturally gravitate toward those who demonstrate self-control, those who speak with purpose rather than haste. Influence is not about domination. It is about being felt, being understood, and being remembered. Every word that passes your lips either builds that influence or diminishes it. The intelligent man understands that each sentence is a reflection of his inner world, and he chooses only those that strengthen it. You have likely witnessed the opposite, people who speak without thinking, who let frustration, insecurity, or fear dictate their words. It leaves a trail of regret, resentment, and missed opportunity. Imagine the freedom of stepping out of that cycle, of breaking the habit of giving your power away with every careless comment. That freedom is intoxicating because it comes from mastery over yourself. When you speak with intention, people do not just listen, they follow, they respect, they trust. And this is not about perfection, it is about conscious evolution. It is about recognizing the invisible power in the pause, in the refusal to validate thoughts that do not serve your growth, in the courage to withhold words until they carry meaning. Every decision you make about what not to say is a declaration of who you are and who you refuse to become. The intelligent man is relentless in this practice, not because he fears failure, but because he understands that words have the power to create or destroy. Every time you rise above the noise, every time you allow wisdom to guide your voice, you are taking control of your destiny. The very act of restraint becomes a tool of transformation, sharpening your presence, heightening your influence, and solidifying your identity. You begin to realize that the power of a man is measured less by the words he utters and more by the weight of the silence he commands, the authority he carries, and the clarity he projects in every interaction. There is an unseen power in the way the intelligent man speaks, in the restraint he exercises, and in the discernment that governs his words. He does not rush to fill spaces with sound because he understands that silence is not emptiness. It is presence, it is gravity, it is authority. Every utterance is a reflection of thought, a reflection of self-respect, and a reflection of discipline. When you begin to adopt this mindset, you start to notice how words you once thought harmless can actually weaken your position, dilute your impact, and erode the perception of strength that others instinctively recognize in you. Awareness alone changes everything. Awareness gives you the power to filter, to select, and to project only that which serves your purpose, your growth, and your influence. The intelligent man never speaks to impress. He does not rely on flashy phrases, on empty bravado, or on the temporary approval of others. He knows that true influence is quiet, deliberate, and rooted in authenticity. When you speak without neediness, without fear, and without the compulsion to justify your existence, people feel it. They feel the stability, the strength, the clarity that radiates from intentional words. Imagine being in a room where every statement you make lands with weight, where every observation carries insight, where every question is precise and meaningful. That is not coincidence. That is discipline. That is intelligence in motion. Every careless admission of insecurity, every self-deprecating remark, and every thoughtless critique chips away at this presence. The intelligent man recognizes that even seemingly small phrases like, "I'm not sure," or "I think I might be wrong," can unconsciously signal weakness. This is not arrogance. It is awareness. It is understanding that perception shapes reality, and that perception begins with the words you allow to escape your lips. By controlling your speech, by rejecting phrases that diminish authority or self-respect, you are actively shaping the way the world experiences you. Every moment you speak with intention, you are building a legacy of influence that others cannot ignore. Consider the psychological impact of restraint. Silence forces people to lean in, to pay attention, to value what you have to say. Speaking only when you have something significant to contribute transforms ordinary interactions into moments of impact. Influence is not measured by the number of words spoken, but by the gravity of each word. The intelligent man internalizes this principle, and through it, he cultivates a presence that commands respect without demand, that inspires trust without effort, and that motivates others without manipulation. You, too, can develop this presence by choosing what never to say, by aligning your speech with your inner strength, and by allowing your actions to reinforce the authority your words declare. Every decision to hold back a harmful or unnecessary word is an investment in your power. Every phrase you select carefully is a declaration of self-mastery. And as you internalize this discipline, a transformation begins, your voice becomes sharper, your presence becomes stronger, and your influence extends further than you ever imagined. You realize that strength is not in the volume of your voice, but in the precision of your words, the weight of your silence, and the deliberate cultivation of a mind that chooses speech not for fleeting approval, but for enduring impact. Every moment you master this principle, you are stepping closer to the man you are capable of becoming, powerful, respected, and undeniably intelligent. True power is not loud. It does not demand attention. It does not rely on flashy words or empty affirmations. The intelligent man understands this instinctively. He knows that speaking without thought is the easiest way to give away influence, to dilute his presence, and to invite disrespect without ever realizing it. Every phrase spoken carries invisible consequences. Every careless comment leaves a mark, and every word you allow to pass unchecked can either elevate or diminish you. The strongest men are not the ones who dominate conversations. They are the ones who master them, the ones who choose each word as carefully as a sculptor chooses each strike of a chisel. Your speech is a reflection of your mind, your discipline, and your self-respect. And when you begin to see it this way, you start to wield a power most people spend their lives chasing without ever understanding. Every time you resist the urge to validate every thought, to chase approval, or to fill silence with unnecessary commentary, you are taking control. The intelligent man never says things that weaken his presence, because he understands the subtle psychology behind influence. Words are not just sounds, they are signals. They communicate confidence or doubt, strength or insecurity, purpose or aimlessness. When you choose to speak with precision, you are signaling to the world that you are deliberate, aware, and intentional. People notice this, they respond to it. And over time, this awareness becomes a force multiplier in every area of your life: relationships, career, personal growth, and self-respect. The temptation to speak impulsively is universal, but the intelligent man refuses to yield. He does not engage in meaningless debates. He does not offer excuses, and he does not speak from a place of fear or ego. Instead, he evaluates, he measures, he considers impact before expression. This is not passive restraint, it is active mastery. The discipline to refrain from saying what undermines your authority strengthens your mind, sharpens your judgment, and builds an invisible aura of influence that others instinctively recognize. The more you practice this, the more effortless it becomes. Silence transforms from a lack of action into a strategic tool, a weapon of influence, and a demonstration of power without aggression. Every word you do not say that would diminish your authority is a victory. Every pause you take before responding is a claim of control. Every refusal to voice doubt, insecurity, or unnecessary commentary is a signal of inner strength. The intelligent man understands that influence is rarely about volume or dominance. It is about clarity, purpose, and strategic presence. People do not forget how he speaks. They remember the weight behind his words, the confidence in his restraint, and the authority of his silence. By embracing this principle, you are beginning a transformation that reaches far beyond conversations. You are shaping your identity, refining your influence, and claiming control over how the world perceives you. Each moment of restraint becomes a building block for your confidence, your reputation, and your presence. The words you choose not to speak are as powerful, as deliberate, and as defining as the words you do. And as you internalize this discipline, you will find that your impact grows, your respect multiplies, and your life aligns more closely with the vision of the man you are capable of becoming. A man whose words carry weight, whose presence commands attention, and whose intelligence radiates through every decision to speak or remain silent. Every word you speak is a reflection of your inner state, a mirror of the man you have become. When you rush to express every thought, you surrender control of that reflection. The intelligent man knows this, and he chooses his words with intention, recognizing that influence begins long before he utters a single syllable. Thoughtless speech is a trap. It exposes insecurities, invites misjudgment, and diminishes the impact you could have. When you understand this, you begin to see the immense power in restraint. You begin to see that silence, measured speech, and deliberate phrasing are not limitations. They are tools of mastery, instruments of authority, and gateways to deeper respect. There is a quiet force in the way a man carries himself when his words are purposeful. Every phrase becomes meaningful, every observation precise, and every response calculated to strengthen presence rather than weaken it. People instinctively sense this. They notice the clarity in your communication, the weight in your statements, and the confidence that radiates from deliberate silence. They are drawn to it, inspired by it, and influenced by it without ever realizing why. This is not coincidence. This is the result of conscious mastery over what you allow to leave your lips. Every moment you hold back the unnecessary, the weak, or the insecure, you reinforce the image of a man who is in control, a man who is aware, and a man whose words carry gravity. The temptation to speak impulsively is constant. Every conversation is filled with opportunities to slip into patterns of weakness, apologizing excessively, over-explaining, or offering validation that is not yours to give. The intelligent man resists these impulses. He understands that influence is cultivated through measured interaction, through the discipline of saying only what elevates and empowers. Every time you speak with intention, you create a space where others listen, respect, and respond. This space is not given lightly. It is earned through consistent practice, through repeated choices to prioritize strength over impulse, wisdom over reaction, and clarity over clutter. Words are not merely communication, they are extensions of your identity. When you choose carefully, when you refuse to say what diminishes your presence, you are actively sculpting the perception of yourself in the minds of others. Every controlled response, every pause before speaking, every refusal to indulge in empty commentary is a declaration of strength. It signals that you are a man who governs himself, who is aware of the power he wields, and who refuses to squander it. The intelligent man does not chase attention with noise, he commands it with precision. As you embrace this principle, the transformation extends beyond mere conversations. It seeps into your confidence, your relationships, and your vision of yourself. You begin to internalize the idea that the right words, spoken at the right time, can create opportunities, inspire trust, and reinforce respect in ways that casual speech never can. Each moment of restraint is a building block of influence, each deliberate phrase a tool of power. By mastering what you say, and more importantly, what you choose not to say, you are stepping into a version of yourself that is stronger, sharper, and undeniably intelligent. Your words become instruments of transformation, your silence a statement of authority, and your presence a force that shapes the world around you. The intelligent man never underestimates the power of perception. He knows that how others see him often becomes reality in their minds, and that perception is crafted less by actions alone and more by the words he chooses to speak or choose not to speak. Every time you allow yourself to make statements that betray uncertainty, anger, or weakness, you are unintentionally broadcasting messages that undermine your authority. People may not consciously register every phrase, but subconsciously they feel it. They sense hesitation, insecurity, and lack of control. And this is precisely why the words you avoid saying can be just as powerful, if not more so, than the words you allow to leave your lips. Silence becomes a shield, discipline becomes a signal, and restraint becomes a mark of mastery. When you refuse to speak impulsively, you create space for clarity, reflection, and influence. Each deliberate word carries weight, resonance, and authority. People begin to notice not just what you say, but the careful thought behind every statement. They sense the intelligence that governs your communication, the awareness that guides your voice, and the confidence that shapes your presence. This is not a superficial charm. It is deep, undeniable authority that commands respect without demanding it. Every phrase you withhold that could weaken your stance is an investment in the perception of strength, a reinforcement of your identity, and a demonstration of conscious control over your environment. The danger lies in the temptation to over-explain, to justify, or to seek validation through speech. The intelligent man knows that every unnecessary word chips away at influence, dilutes confidence, and invites judgment. By mastering the art of measured communication, he protects his presence and magnifies his impact. Words become precise instruments, each with a purpose, each contributing to a larger vision of who he is and who he intends to become. You too can harness this principle. By choosing to say only what aligns with strength, wisdom, and purpose, you transform every interaction into an opportunity to project power, foster respect, and cultivate trust. Consider the ripple effect of this discipline. When you speak less, you are heard more. When you speak with intention, your influence expands beyond your immediate words. People remember the weight behind your statements, the authority in your restraint, and the intelligence in your judgment. They are drawn to it, inspired by it, and motivated by the clarity you bring. Silence becomes a tool of persuasion, deliberation becomes a sign of strength, and controlled speech becomes a magnet for respect. Every interaction is an opportunity to reinforce your presence, and every phrase you carefully select contributes to a legacy of influence and integrity. This mastery over speech is not about perfection. It is about conscious evolution. It is about recognizing that every word matters, that restraint builds power, and that the intelligent man never speaks in ways that diminish his presence. Each decision to remain silent when words would harm, to choose phrases that elevate rather than weaken, and to express only what aligns with purpose is a deliberate act of transformation. Your voice becomes a reflection of your discipline, your influence becomes a reflection of your awareness, and your life begins to mirror the strength, clarity, and intelligence you cultivate in every thought, every pause, and every carefully measured statement. The intelligent man never allows insecurity to color his speech. He understands that words born from fear, jealousy, or doubt are toxic, slowly eroding the perception of strength and credibility he has worked to cultivate. Every time you speak from a place of uncertainty, you are not only undermining yourself, but you are also teaching others how to treat you. People respond to confidence, decisiveness, and clarity. They respect the man who knows his mind, who understands his value, and who does not seek validation from every interaction. This is why restraint, discipline, and careful consideration of every statement are essential. The words you choose not to say are often the most important because they protect your reputation, reinforce your authority, and establish a presence that commands respect without demanding it. There is an invisible power in measured speech. It shapes perception, influences outcomes, and elevates the man who wields it. When you refuse to engage in gossip, defend your worth unnecessarily, or voice your insecurities, you are demonstrating control over your mind, your emotions, and your environment. People notice this control. They feel it even if they cannot name it. It signals that you are deliberate, capable, and aware, a man who does not give away authority with careless words. Each moment of restraint becomes a statement, a subtle assertion of influence that grows stronger every time it is practiced. The intelligent man understands that influence is cumulative. Every phrase, every pause, and every deliberate silence contributes to a larger impression. Speaking without thought, responding from emotion, or offering words that diminish your presence chips away at that impression. By contrast, every carefully considered statement reinforces your credibility, strengthens your relationships, and positions you as a figure of wisdom and stability. This is why mastering what you say and what you choose not to say is one of the most potent tools of personal and professional transformation. Silence is not emptiness, it is strategy. Thoughtful speech is not weakness, it is power. By mastering both, you create a space where your presence alone commands attention. People are drawn to clarity, decisiveness, and restraint. They are inspired by the man who communicates with intention, whose words are precise, and whose silence is measured. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to demonstrate intelligence, control, and self-respect, you begin to realize that influence is less about volume and more about precision, less about speaking often and more about speaking wisely. This awareness transforms your entire approach to life. Conversations become deliberate acts of influence. Decisions are made with clarity and purpose. Your relationships grow stronger, not because you speak more, but because you speak with weight and intention. Every withheld word is a reinforcement of strength. Every carefully chosen phrase is a demonstration of intelligence. The man who masters his speech, who refuses to speak from insecurity, and who embraces the power of restraint, sets himself apart. He is not swayed by fleeting emotions or the need for approval. He commands respect through presence, influence through intentionality, and authority through the discipline of what he chooses to say and what he chooses to keep silent. By internalizing this, you step into a version of yourself that is not only intelligent, but unshakable, magnetic, and undeniably powerful in every interaction, every decision, and every word. The intelligent man never compromises his integrity for the approval of others. He understands that seeking validation through words or actions is a silent surrender of personal power. Every time you bend your speech to appease someone, you trade authenticity for temporary acceptance. This is a transaction that always comes at a cost. People may nod, smile, or agree in the moment, but deep down they sense the inconsistency. They sense the lack of alignment between your words and your values. Influence built on inauthenticity is fragile. Influence built on truth and conviction is unshakable. By refusing to speak for the sake of approval, you safeguard your credibility and reinforce a presence that commands respect effortlessly. Confidence is not loud. True authority does not require applause or agreement. The intelligent man knows this instinctively. He speaks with purpose because he is aligned with his principles, not because he craves affirmation. Every carefully chosen phrase is a declaration of self-respect, a subtle yet powerful signal to the world that he is guided by clarity, vision, and unwavering standards. By speaking from this place of integrity, you cultivate a magnetic presence. People are drawn to it, inspired by it, and compelled to trust it. They recognize a man who stands by his words, who does not bend to the whims of external opinion, and who does not compromise his principles for temporary comfort or fleeting approval. The temptation to over-explain, to justify, or to seek reassurance is constant. Every conversation, every interaction presents opportunities to betray your alignment with your own values. The intelligent man resists this. He understands that self-respect begins with the mastery of his voice. He does not apologize for his boundaries, explain the depth of his decisions unnecessarily, or dilute his impact with words that placate rather than empower. By exercising this discipline, he reinforces his authority, protects his influence, and cultivates a sense of self that is both stable and magnetic. Each intentional word strengthens the perception of integrity, and each withheld word preserves it. Words shaped by approval seeking are empty. Words shaped by principle are transformative. When you prioritize alignment over acceptance, your communication transcends the ordinary. It becomes an instrument of influence, an expression of strength, and a beacon of credibility. People instinctively respond to authenticity. They sense when you speak from conviction and when you merely echo the expectations of others. The intelligent man ensures that every interaction communicates clarity, confidence, and fidelity to his values. In doing so, he builds relationships rooted in trust, influence reinforced by integrity, and a presence that is unshakable, magnetic, and deeply respected. This discipline reshapes not only how others perceive you, but also how you perceive yourself. Every decision to speak with integrity reinforces your self-respect. Every refusal to compromise your voice strengthens your confidence. You begin to internalize the principle that approval is a fleeting illusion, while authenticity is a lasting power. The words you choose, carefully measured and aligned with your values, become instruments of transformation. They shape your influence, deepen your relationships, and cultivate an authority that commands respect naturally. By mastering this, you step into a life where your voice is not a tool for validation, but a declaration of strength, clarity, and unwavering intelligence. The intelligent man never allows anger to dictate his words. He knows that words spoken in rage are weapons that wound not only others but the speaker as well. Every moment of uncontrolled speech erodes authority, damages relationships, and diminishes respect. Anger is fleeting, but the impact of words can be permanent. By choosing restraint over reaction, by cultivating calm instead of impulse, you preserve your influence and project strength that cannot be shaken by provocation. Mastering this discipline is not about suppressing emotion. It is about directing it with precision, converting potential chaos into strategic clarity. Every time you resist the urge to lash out or speak in bitterness, you assert control over yourself and your environment. People are drawn to composure because it signals stability, confidence, and mastery. They sense the difference between a man who reacts unconsciously and a man who responds deliberately. Your presence becomes a statement of power, not through volume or aggression, but through measured restraint. Every unspoken insult, every avoided confrontation, and every carefully considered reply strengthens your authority and solidifies the perception that you are unshakable. Impulse-driven speech is a trap. It promises relief, validation, or satisfaction in the moment, but leaves a trail of doubt, regret, and weakened influence behind it. The intelligent man knows that words spoken in anger rarely achieve the outcomes he desires. Instead, he channels his energy into understanding, strategizing, and acting with intention. This does not mean he avoids confrontation when necessary. It means he confronts from a position of strength, clarity, and control. Every decision to pause, reflect, and respond thoughtfully becomes an investment in long-term respect and influence. Anger is often a mask for fear, frustration, or insecurity. By allowing it to govern your speech, you unintentionally reveal vulnerabilities and undermine the authority you are building. The intelligent man turns this around. He converts raw emotion into clarity of thought. He allows his intellect to guide his speech, ensuring that every word is purposeful, every statement is aligned with his principles, and every interaction reflects mastery rather than chaos. This is the essence of emotional intelligence, the secret weapon of influence that separates those who command respect from those who merely demand attention. When you master the discipline of speech in moments of anger, you elevate yourself above the ordinary. You communicate strength without hostility, authority without aggression, and presence without threat. People notice this distinction. They feel it in the way you respond, in the weight of your voice, and in the calm assurance you project. It is magnetic, inspiring, and transformative. Each moment of controlled speech reinforces your credibility, deepens your influence, and positions you as a man whose presence alone commands attention. This mastery over anger and speech reshapes your life at its core. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to demonstrate control, wisdom, and integrity. You begin to see the world differently, understanding that influence is earned through calm decisiveness, not impulsive reaction. By refusing to allow anger to shape your words, you cultivate a reputation for strength, clarity, and intelligence that cannot be questioned. Your voice becomes a tool of transformation, projecting authority, commanding respect, and inspiring those around you to rise to a higher standard. In mastering this, you step fully into a version of yourself that is unshakable, magnetic, and undeniably powerful in every thought, every word, and every action. The intelligent man never speaks from a place of arrogance or superiority. He understands that true strength is not measured by how loudly he can assert himself, but by how quietly and confidently he holds his ground. Words steeped in ego alienate, diminish, and create invisible walls between you and those you wish to influence. When you speak with humility, grounded in knowledge rather than pretense, you draw people in. They are willing to listen, to learn, and to respect the authority that comes not from self-aggrandizement, but from mastery, discipline, and integrity. Arrogance is a mask for insecurity. It tries to convince the world that you are more than you are, but it is always noticed. People sense when words are inflated, when opinions are forced, or when authority is claimed rather than earned. The intelligent man recognizes this immediately. He does not feel the need to dominate conversations, belittle others, or assert superiority to be seen as capable. Instead, he communicates with precision, clarity, and quiet confidence. Every carefully chosen word reinforces the perception that he is both competent and grounded, a man whose influence is built on substance rather than posturing. Speaking without arrogance requires self-awareness. It demands that you recognize your value without needing to prove it, that you share your knowledge without diminishing others, and that you express opinions without creating unnecessary conflict. Each interaction becomes a chance to demonstrate wisdom, not dominance. By letting humility guide your speech, you cultivate trust, respect, and loyalty. People are drawn to authenticity. They gravitate toward the man who is confident yet approachable, knowledgeable yet willing to listen, strong yet unthreatening. This is the subtle, unshakable power of controlled, humble speech. Words rooted in arrogance close doors. Words rooted in humility open them. When you speak with quiet confidence, your presence commands attention naturally. People are more likely to value your insights, follow your guidance, and respect your perspective. You create influence that is magnetic, not forced. You invite collaboration rather than resistance. Every statement, every observation, and every interaction becomes an opportunity to reinforce credibility, demonstrate integrity, and inspire trust. The intelligent man knows this. He measures his words carefully, understanding that humility amplifies authority more than ego ever could. Mastering this discipline transforms not only how others perceive you, but how you perceive yourself. Arrogance stems from fear of inadequacy, from the need to assert importance in a world that feels threatening. Humility, on the other hand, is a reflection of self-assurance. By speaking from this space, you reinforce your own confidence and clarity. You create an internal ecosystem where respect is earned, influence is natural, and authority is a reflection of wisdom rather than posturing. This is the hallmark of a truly intelligent man. He speaks with intention, not for approval. He commands respect, not through ego, but through presence. He inspires action, not by belittling others, but by elevating them through example. Every interaction, every phrase, every carefully measured word reinforces the image of a man who is unshakable, magnetic, and undeniably powerful. By eliminating arrogance from your speech, you step fully into a realm of influence, clarity, and personal mastery that transforms the way the world responds to you and the way you respond to yourself. The intelligent man never speaks without purpose. Every word he utters carries weight because he understands that speech is a tool, not a habit. Mindless chatter, empty phrases, or filler words dilute presence, scatter attention, and erode influence. When you learn to speak deliberately, to measure every statement, you transform communication into power. Silence becomes as valuable as sound, and your voice becomes a weapon of clarity, conviction, and impact. People notice the difference. They feel it in the pauses, in the precision, and in the resonance of your words. You become a man whose voice commands attention because it is scarce, intentional, and meaningful. To speak without purpose requires self-discipline and awareness. It demands that you resist the urge to fill every silence with noise, that you think before you speak, and that you weigh the consequences of each expression. Many men speak reflexively, letting emotions, pride, or insecurity dictate their words. The intelligent man breaks this pattern. He understands that once words are spoken, they cannot be taken back, and their effects ripple far beyond the moment. Every pause, every careful phrasing, every intentional statement reinforces his authority and strengthens the perception of wisdom. Purposeful speech also cultivates respect. People are drawn to those who speak with clarity and conviction because they sense the deliberate thought behind each word. Random or careless speech breeds doubt, diminishes credibility, and invites misunderstanding. By contrast, every sentence spoken with intent signals intelligence, control, and maturity. Others instinctively defer, listen, and follow because they trust the man who knows when to speak and when to remain silent. This is not manipulation, it is mastery over one of the most powerful tools at your disposal, your voice. Intentional speech is closely tied to vision. When your words reflect purpose, they are aligned with your goals, values, and aspirations. They inspire action, convey authority, and draw others into your mission. People respond to clarity. They respond to focus. And when every word you speak reinforces your inner strength, you project influence that extends far beyond the immediate conversation. You are no longer simply a participant in dialogue. You are a guide, a force, a presence that shapes outcomes through the precision and power of language. This discipline transforms how you move through the world. Silence becomes a signal, not an absence. Pauses communicate thoughtfulness. Precision communicates strength. Intentional speech sets boundaries, establishes authority, and communicates confidence without aggression. It is a subtle yet undeniable form of influence, one that elevates every interaction and reinforces your position as a man of substance. People sense the weight behind your words and instinctively recognize that what you say matters because it is deliberate, considered, and aligned with purpose. Every man has the ability to speak, but few speak with intention. To master this is to master the perception of power. Every interaction, every meeting, every conversation becomes an opportunity to demonstrate clarity, intelligence, and command. By eliminating empty words, speaking only with purpose, and ensuring every phrase carries meaning, you create an aura of authority and influence that cannot be ignored. You become a man whose presence is magnetic, whose words inspire action, and whose influence is undeniable. Purposeful speech is not just a habit, it is a reflection of mastery, a declaration of strength, and a cornerstone of transformation that separates the intelligent from the ordinary. The intelligent man never complains. He understands that words of complaint are more than empty noise. They are an invitation to weakness, a public declaration that you see yourself as a victim of circumstance, rather than the architect of your life. Complaining diminishes your power. It conditions the mind to focus on limitations instead of possibilities, obstacles instead of solutions. Every uttered grievance reinforces a cycle of passivity and blame. To break free from this trap, the intelligent man refuses to indulge in words that drain energy or erode credibility. He chooses language that empowers, challenges, and elevates. When you stop complaining, you reclaim control. You no longer surrender your energy to frustration, resentment, or the illusion that external forces dictate your success. Every moment spent lamenting what is wrong is a moment lost from creating what could be right. The intelligent man sees life as a series of challenges to overcome, not injustices to endure. By removing complaint from his vocabulary, he signals resilience, maturity, and an unwavering commitment to personal growth. Others sense it instinctively. They feel the energy of a man focused on solutions rather than problems, on action rather than excuses. Refusing to complain also shifts your internal narrative. The mind follows the words you speak. Language shapes thought, and thought shapes action. By eliminating negativity from your speech, you cultivate optimism, clarity, and confidence. Your internal dialogue aligns with your ambitions rather than against them. Every statement you make becomes an affirmation of capability, a declaration of resourcefulness, and a subtle signal that you are a man who navigates the world with purpose and intention. Complaining creates a ripple effect that extends beyond the self. It drains the energy of those around you, diminishing respect and eroding trust. People instinctively shy away from negativity, sensing its weight even before words are fully formed. The intelligent man understands this dynamic and chooses a higher path. He speaks with solutions in mind, frames challenges as opportunities, and focuses on what can be done rather than what cannot. This not only preserves his own energy, but draws others toward him, inspired by his clarity, resilience, and unwavering focus on results. Every moment you spend reframing thoughts away from complaint is a moment invested in power. Silence becomes a tool, reflection becomes a weapon, and your words become statements of intention rather than reactions to adversity. By refusing to complain, you cultivate a presence that commands respect, inspires action, and communicates inner strength without a single boast. People notice the difference immediately. They feel the energy of someone unshakable, self-reliant, and unwavering in pursuit of their goals. This discipline is not denial, it is mastery. It is the conscious choice to acknowledge difficulties without surrendering to them, to observe challenges without giving them authority over your mindset. Every word you speak is a signal that you are in control, that your focus is on solutions, and that your energy is devoted to creation rather than lamentation. By removing complaint from your language, you align yourself with power, resilience, and influence. You become a man whose presence uplifts, whose words inspire, and whose life is defined not by grievances, but by deliberate action, unwavering focus, and the courage to shape reality on your own terms. The intelligent man never seeks approval. He understands that the need for validation is a silent chain, binding men to the opinions, judgments, and expectations of others. Every time you look outside yourself for permission to act, to speak, or to dream, you surrender power. You hand over control of your emotions, your choices, and your confidence to people who may not have your best interests at heart. The intelligent man recognizes that true strength comes from within, from a conviction so deep that it does not tremble at criticism, skepticism, or indifference. Seeking approval erodes authenticity. When you tailor your thoughts, actions, or appearance to satisfy others, you dilute your own identity. Every compromise for external validation distances you from your purpose, diminishes your influence, and weakens the perception of strength. The intelligent man chooses to act in alignment with his values, goals, and vision, regardless of whether others applaud, question, or misunderstand him. He measures himself by his own standards, not by the fleeting praise of strangers. This self-reliance creates a magnetic presence because authenticity resonates with clarity, confidence, and unshakable integrity. The need for approval is often disguised as politeness, diplomacy, or humility, but at its core, it is fear. Fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of being unseen or misunderstood. The intelligent man confronts this fear, refusing to let it dictate his behavior. He speaks, acts, and decides from a place of inner authority. Every action taken without seeking consent from the crowd reinforces self-trust, sharpens discernment, and solidifies personal power. The world cannot shake a man who needs no one's permission to be himself. Freedom from approval also amplifies creativity and innovation. When you are not constrained by what others think, you explore possibilities that remain hidden to those trapped by fear. You take risks, challenge norms, and forge paths that demand courage, vision, and unwavering confidence. The intelligent man understands that greatness requires independence of thought. His ideas, actions, and ambitions flow from authenticity, not from the desire to fit in. And in this freedom, he inspires others to do the same, not through pressure, but through example. Every time you resist the pull of external approval, you cultivate resilience. Criticism no longer wounds. Praise no longer blinds. Your focus remains on progress, purpose, and impact. The intelligent man's energy is no longer scattered by the whims of others. Instead, it is concentrated, directed, and potent. People sense it immediately. They recognize the quiet power of a man who moves with certainty, acts with integrity, and speaks with authority, unshaken by opinion. This is not arrogance. It is mastery of self. The intelligent man does not seek to dominate others through approval or influence. He seeks to dominate himself, to align thought, word, and action with truth and purpose. By releasing the need for validation, you reclaim autonomy over your emotions, amplify your confidence, and become a force that cannot be swayed by fleeting judgment. You become magnetic because your energy is grounded, your presence undeniable, and your life a testament to the power of self-trust, independence, and unwavering commitment to your own path. The intelligent man never apologizes for his ambitions. He knows that every dream, every goal, and every vision carries weight, risk, and the potential to unsettle those who are comfortable with mediocrity. When you shrink your desires to make others feel safe, you betray yourself. Every time you say sorry for striving, for growing, for reaching higher, you signal doubt, both to yourself and to the world. The intelligent man refuses this subtle form of self-sabotage. He understands that true power is expressed through unapologetic pursuit of excellence, not through timid acquiescence to the comfort of others. Ambition can be intimidating. It stirs envy, skepticism, and sometimes fear in those around you. But the intelligent man does not dim his light to soothe insecurity. He channels it. He lets it fuel relentless focus, discipline, and action. Apologizing for ambition is a surrender, a quiet concession to the limitations of those who cannot envision what you see. To grow, to lead, and to transform, you must embrace your drive fully, without shame, without hesitation, and without hesitation to stand apart from the masses. Every time you apologize for striving, you anchor yourself to mediocrity. The world rewards decisiveness, courage, and the relentless pursuit of purpose. Those who hesitate, who diminish themselves to appease others, are left behind. The intelligent man understands that his path will always create friction. He accepts it as part of the journey. Confrontation, misunderstanding, and resistance are not signals to retreat. They are proof that he is moving in the direction of significance. By refusing to apologize for his ambition, he honors his potential, commands respect, and establishes a life that is authentically his own. Apologies for ambition are often rooted in fear. Fear of judgment, fear of alienation, fear of being perceived as too much. The intelligent man confronts these fears head-on. He recognizes that discomfort in others is not his burden to carry. His responsibility is to his vision, to his growth, and to the legacy he is building. Each unapologetic action he takes sends a powerful signal that he is not governed by the opinions of others, but by an unwavering commitment to his purpose. This is magnetic. People are drawn to those who live without self-imposed limitations, who act with clarity, and who embrace the fullness of their own power. Refusing to apologize for ambition also strengthens internal alignment. Every decision, every pursuit becomes an act of integrity, rooted in self-respect and clarity of purpose. Your energy becomes focused and undiluted, your presence becomes commanding, and your life begins to reflect the magnitude of your vision. Ambition without apology is not arrogance, it is authenticity. It is a commitment to showing up fully, acting decisively, and creating relentlessly. To live unapologetically in pursuit of ambition is to take full ownership of your life. The intelligent man does not ask permission, he does not seek approval, and he does not apologize for the intensity of his purpose. Every step he takes is deliberate, every word he speaks carries weight, and every action amplifies his influence. By refusing to apologize for your ambitions, you unlock a higher level of courage, presence, and self-trust. You become a man who inspires not through compromise, but through the sheer force of living fully, decisively, and unapologetically in pursuit of what matters most. The intelligent man never says, "I can't." Every time those words escape your lips, you surrender a piece of your power, a fragment of possibility, a portion of the life you are capable of creating. "I can't" is a declaration of limitation, a small but corrosive poison that erodes confidence and stifles potential. It is the voice of fear masquerading as truth. But the intelligent man knows that limits exist only where we accept them. The mind is malleable, adaptable, and endlessly inventive. To say "I can't" is to ignore the incredible capacity you carry within, the capacity to learn, to adapt, to overcome, and to conquer obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. Every "I can't" becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It conditions the mind to seek the path of least resistance, to shrink from discomfort, to avoid challenges. The intelligent man rejects this. He knows that growth is forged in struggle, refined through resistance, and proven through action. When confronted with difficulty, he does not whisper "I can't" into the silence of doubt. He asks, "How can I?" He transforms impossibility into opportunity, fear into fuel, hesitation into deliberate steps forward. To embrace this mindset is to take command of your own destiny, to reclaim authority over your thoughts, and to insist on possibilities where others see walls. "I can't" is often disguised as humility, realism, or self-awareness, but in truth, it is a retreat from courage. The intelligent man does not confuse awareness with surrender. He recognizes obstacles for what they are, temporary, mutable, and ultimately conquerable. Every time you catch yourself uttering those two words, it is a moment to pause and confront the fear beneath them. What are you afraid of? Failure? Judgment? Discomfort? The intelligent man leans into those fears, knowing that the only way forward is through them, not around them. To refuse the words "I can't" is to embrace radical responsibility. You acknowledge that your life is the sum of your choices, your actions, and your persistence. It is to understand that external circumstances may influence your journey, but they do not define your capacity to act, to create, or to succeed. Every action taken from this mindset strengthens resilience, sharpens focus, and cultivates an unshakable belief in your ability to overcome. Your energy becomes magnetic. You begin to notice solutions where others see dead ends. You cultivate a mindset that thrives under pressure, that flourishes in adversity, and that refuses to be constrained by the illusions of limitation. The intelligent man understands that "I can't" is not a statement about reality. It is a statement about surrender, and surrender is optional. Life rewards those who persist, who experiment, who innovate, and who refuse to be bound by the constraints imposed by fear. By eliminating "I can't" from your vocabulary, you replace it with possibility, action, and relentless forward momentum. Each time you replace hesitation with effort, doubt with determination, and limitation with ingenuity, you step closer to becoming the man you are capable of being, a man who does not merely react to life, but who shapes it with courage, clarity, and unyielding resolve. To live without saying "I can't" is to claim ownership of your power. It is to embrace the fullness of your potential and to move through the world with conviction. The intelligent man knows that the barriers to success are not external. They exist only in the mind of those who accept them. Remove them. Stand tall. Speak possibility. Act relentlessly. Your future is forged by the words you allow yourself to speak, and when "I can't" is gone, what remains is unstoppable. Have you ever caught yourself saying, "I'll do it later," as if time is some endless reservoir waiting to be drained at your convenience? Every procrastinated action is a silent theft of your potential, a quiet surrender of the moments that could define your life. The intelligent man understands that delay is the enemy of progress. He knows that every second wasted is a chance lost, an opportunity that will never return. The world does not wait for hesitation, and life does not reward those who linger in the comfort of indecision. Each moment you postpone action, you give space for doubt to grow, fear to fester, and dreams to shrink under the weight of inaction. Saying "I'll do it later" is not harmless. It is a declaration of avoidance, a permission slip to stay small, to defer greatness, to delay the fulfillment of your own promise to yourself. The intelligent man refuses this. He acts in alignment with his goals, recognizing that momentum is created through consistent effort, not idle intention. Action is the bridge between thought and reality, and without it, ideas remain whispers in the dark.